Hello and welcome to Three Questions With. Got my friend Don Pease with us from Don Sign Tech. Hey Don, welcome to the show.
Hi Kevin, thanks for having me.
So Don, why don't you just give me a little bit of an overview about your business to start?
Okay, so we do everything that has to do with your business being visual. So we do your signs, we do vehicle lettering, we do vehicle wraps, we do everything that's directional, help people find you. So pylon signs with directories on them, directories inside of the building, lettering on your windows. We also do business cards, pens, and clothing. So you have those business cards to hand out, pens to give away, your clothing with your name on it. So no matter where you go, everybody knows what you do. So we do all things that are about your business being visual out in the public.
Don, one of the funny things about you since we've met is, listening to you always talk about signs, the lettering inside the building. Now that we've been friends for so long, when I see something that could be better, it really sticks out in my head saying, okay, this is your business and, you're trying to attract this type of client, but yet everything that's supporting that, your signage just doesn't reflect that. It has to all tie together, right?
It does. So a lot of the problems that we run into are people who have a graphic designer design their logo, for instance, and the logo is round, but the space that they have to fit within is rectangular. How do you make maximum use of a round logo in a rectangular space? It's difficult. Sometimes we can take the logo apart and make it work so that it's still recognizable as the brand. The other thing that happens is space. People don't think about their space before they sign, their leases. You'll find out that building has been empty for a long time because there's no parking, or it's hard to access, or it's hard to find your way around. So there's all those things that we try to help the client with in their visual being seen by people and making sure that people can get to them. So, you've got everything ranging from the sign outside your building to the directories inside. Do we need your logo there? Do we have to match an existing? There's so many different variables that have to play into it. And so that's our job, to help the client say, this is going to work, this isn't going to work, this space needs this, or we need to open this up a little bit. So there's so many variables in it. There are a lot of times I've had clients bring me also a long rectangular logo when the space they have is very small and square. Again, how do you make it fit? So we try to work with the graphic designers and try to show them the space. The problem is that a lot of time graphic designers get caught up within the logo itself and refuse to make the changes. So we have to be both accommodating and be able to push them along a little bit without hurting anybody's feelings, and make sure that we get the client the best visibility possible.
But the other thing that you've spoken about quite a bit and people just don't think about is the legal requirements. Maybe you're like, oh, it's okay, Don, I'm on the main road, I'm going to throw an A-frame out front. And you're like, well, unfortunately, you can't do that in this town. Or even, you get in this really fancy building, has that gigantic sign outside. And I'm like, hey, Don, I need you to add me onto that sign. And you find out it's a lot more money than you thought. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So A-frames is a good example, and I'll use the city of Salem, Massachusetts as an example. Huge tourist spot. Everybody wants as much signage out as they can, but there's a rule. They can only have an A-frame out for a certain amount of time, and it can only be a certain size, and you have to get a permit for it. And when that permit expires, it comes down so somebody else's can go up. We have the same thing in Middleton, where there's multiple buildings that have multiple tenants in them, but there's still only so many A-frames allowed out in front of the building. So if 5 of a 10-tenant building have A-frames out, guess what? Yours isn't going up. Some people want to put yard signs out. Well, if I can't have an A-frame, I want a yard sign. No, still not allowed. You can put them out, but somebody's going to give you a slap on the wrist and tell you to take them down, in which case then you've wasted money. Sometimes there are little ways around it. We try to get clients to put out large planters, put some flowers in it, put your sign in the planter. Sometimes you can get away with it that way. But every town is different, and every town has a different set of rules. And so we look at those rules before we design something for the client so that they know what they can and cannot have. One of the hardest things is they'll look at a building and say, I've got all this space, I want a sign this big. And then we find out that no, the town bylaws will only allow you to have a sign this big. So there's all those dynamics that play into it. There's also little things that come up first. You can't just put the sign up, even if you have a permit. Usually you have to go through design review. And if you're in a historic district, you have to go through the historic commission first. If you want to go with something bigger than what the town bylaws allow, then you have to go through planning with zoning board of appeals. And that's a 120-day process.
Wow.
It costs $2,000.
So one last question before I let you run. What if you get someone like me who just goes, hey, Don, I need a sign, and just does that at you? So can you help someone who's just like, hey, I need a sign. I don't know what I need. I never really even gave it a thought. Can you
Sure.
get from the beginning to a sign that works?
Sure, we can. The first thing we're going to do is ask you for your budget. That's the most important part, because that's going to determine whether you have a sign that's got a lot of detail, a lot of dimension to it, or whether you're going to go with a flat digitally printed sign. It's also going to determine whether or not I pull your permits or whether you're going to pull your permits or not. And when our clients opt to pull their own permits, we walk them through the process. We give them all the paperwork that they need to do it for themselves. Most towns can do it online, so it's pretty quick and simple if you're sticking within the bylaws. And then we're going to do a site survey. We want to look at the space. We're going to take pictures and measurements. And then we're going to, once we have the permit in place, then we can put the signs up. But it's a process. It's not just a matter of I want a sign and it goes up.
So Dawn, how can people reach out to you? How can they learn more?
Lots of different ways. So we're on Facebook and Twitter. We have a website, donsigntechinc.net. You can reach us by email, don@donsigntechinc.net, or you can give us a call, 978-208-0012. But we're always looking forward to hearing from people.
Dawn, really appreciate taking a few minutes to jump on the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Anytime, Kevin. Thank you.